pals and non-binary pals, welcome to the WIN-terview, the only interview you, yes, you can win out there in internet land, wherever you may be. Now, if you looked at the title card, it's just like Riddler question marks, because I wasn't sure what the prize would be. The prize is, in fact, this lovely Conan t-shirt. It is size medium, so you understand why I'm not wearing it. But beyond that, let me introduce to you our guest for tonight, a man who I often, once or twice to his face and many times behind his back, have called one of the sharpest minds in all of board gaming. It is my absolute honor to introduce to you Gil Hova. Gil, how are you doing tonight?
Do you have a Band-Aid? I think I cut myself on my sharp mind.
I constantly, a lot of times, every once in a while, Gil, people mess up and they take this clown here and they ask me to talk about real board gaming topics. They're like, oh, here's board game designers, talk to them. And most of the time, the advice I have begins with, I one time heard Gil Hova say to someone, and then I give them a piece of advice as if it were my own.
Wow. Thank you. That's very flattering. Thank you.
Well, thank you for being willing to share wisdom enough that if I'm close, I pick up some of it and then I share it to other people. And they seem very impressed by how smart I seem, even though I've just fully credited you.
Well, I'm glad that it works for everyone then.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. So how are you doing tonight? What's going on? What's happening here?
So I am prepping for a Kickstarter because that is the life of a board game creator these days.
Of course.
I am shooting for October 6th to be the date of the High Rise expansion Kickstarter because I'm already sold out of the base game. It released publicly in July 1st, and we're pretty much out. There's a few copies left in the BGG Geek store, but that's pretty much it. I think I got 1 or 2 copies in my warehouse that I'm selling off my site. So if you're quick, you can pick those up. Otherwise, you can be a part of the Kickstarter. The Kickstarter is going to include the plastic bits that I originally wanted in the original Kickstarter. And it's also going to include a brand new expansion that's going to really add a lot to the play. So I'm very excited about that. I've been testing that expansion, and I'm really happy with what it adds.
Well, that's awesome. So remember, if you're out there, if you want one right now, they'll probably be sold out by the end of this shindig we're doing right here. So you probably got about 45 minutes to grab them because there's like 2 of them left. If not, October 6th, and we were talking about this ahead of time, in all good theory. I've seen a lot lately with a lot of Kickstarters where people are downright, they've made the materials, they've put it out, and then Kickstarter pushes it back 4 days for them, whether they knew it was going to happen or not. So around October 6th, take a look around.
Yeah, because and it might also be like another thing of like, oh, wait, I've got to do something else. So the delay might be on my end also, not on Kickstarter's end. We'll see. But around early October is what I'm shooting for.
Okay. Let's take a look, guys. We already have some comments coming in, so I'm going to bring a couple on the screen. Mike Cooper saying hi.
Hi, Mike. Always great to hear from Mike.
Let's see. Bree. Oh, shit, I need this. Now, here's the thing. Because I have no context, I don't know if this is you and I doing an interview or if she just really wants the Conan shirt, which someone is going to win. Maybe you, Bree. Who knows?
Well, fingers crossed. I'm rooting for you.
Let's take a look. Morgan.
Morgan. Hey, Morgan's the best.
Thank you so much for showing up. Now, in the second half of the show, we play a game where you can win that lovely shirt. So let me give you the information on that. Let's get this out there. If you played before, you know how this works. Go on any web-based device, a phone, a tablet. If you don't want to win, do it on another window that you're watching this on. But it's going to make you real slow, but feel free to do it. I'm not going to stop you. I'm not your dad. And go to crowd.live, enter the code 633PJ. That is 633PJ to play. A little bit later, we will be doing a game with Gil where we give him his 50-50 choices, and you try to guess them as fast as you possibly can. Once again, to jump in, and we'll bring it up a couple more times tonight, but this is your first chance to get logged in and ready to go. Go to crowd.live, put in the code 633PJ to be in tonight's game, and win that lovely Conan shirt. Okay, that's not what fell. Stuff fell here, and I thought I lost the Conan shirt, but no. The Conan shirt is right there, and it is a Conan pop vinyl shirt. So if that's your thing, gosh darn it, there you go. Conan the presenter, not Conan the Barbarian. Just in case that changes.
Oh, that does change things. I thought it was the Barbarian.
No, Conan the television presenter.
Okay.
I say that way as if I'm British. So let's jump back, Gil. Okay, so first thing, full barrel, out of the gate, blacka. You have the Kickstarter that's happening early October, we're going to say.
Yep.
So then, what do you have that people could look for sometime sooner?
Well, Rival Networks is in pre-order right now. We had the Kickstarter earlier in the year, and I keep saying it's at the manufacturer. COVID has slowed me down so much because I'm working on so much, and But I'm working on getting this thing out, and it's going to be really good because I think it's playing really, really well. I really enjoy playing this version of the network. So it is a 2-player version of the networks. It's made remixed and rejiggered for a 2-player experience. So I'm pretty excited about it. I have a game called Weird Stories that I'll be releasing late this year. That is a role-playing game, a storytelling RPG in the vein of a game like, Fiasco or Microscope. Weird Stories is similar to that. It's a one-shot storytelling game for a bunch of people where weird things happen and you never actually explain them. You just sort of explore the impact they have on the characters. And so it's a little like David Lynch or Murakami, the Southern Reach trilogy, the movie Annihilation, things like that. So weird things happen. Because I really love stories like that. So I'm really enjoying working on that. I have a Twitch channel. So I stream either a game I have designed or a game that I didn't design, but I really enjoy. And I find a bunch of friends and we play it. And that's, I wasn't doing this right now, I'd be doing that. I did my weekly stream yesterday instead of today, just so I could win with all of you.
Oh, thank you so much, Gil. I really appreciate that.
You got it.
I'm going to stop you for a second and have you take a breath.
Sure.
Because you've given us a lot of information, and I want to separate some of that because I want to help people find the things. So you talked about the rival networks, which is, I'm going to say the rival networks, if you're out there and you don't understand this, the rival networks is to networks as Seven Wonders Duel is to Seven Wonders.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say I'm here and I want to support you, Gil, because I forgot to when the Kickstarter came up, and I love you and I want it. How can I become a part of that? How can I get this as it comes over from China?
Go to my website, formalferretgames.com, click on the networks, and you'll see a link to the rival networks, and you'll find a way to pre-order it there.
So there you go. So pre-orders are still available. Yep. And if you get the pre-order, are you still getting most of the fun stuff that would have come with the... Okay.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
Well, very good. Very good. So we have that. So if you're looking for a 2-player experience, I can say personally, I love the networks. It is one of my favorite games.
Oh, thank you.
I think part of it is your design. I think part of it's the theme. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
But
you have to. I mean, I really like working in that theme because there's so much potential. Oh, I think I'm going to have some help on this. 1 second.
Nice. Are we about to get one or more formal ferrets?
Well, this is Trillian. She's my older girl over here. She's about 7 years old, which is pretty old for a ferret. So she's my senior citizen.
Oh, she's like a day over 4.
She is a real sweetheart. So she might be begging for food, but she just had food about an hour ago, so she's going to have to chill a little bit. Or maybe I think she was just checking in and making sure I knew she was there. So
she's like a cat that way. I get it.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. So she just gives you a foot boop. If she gives you a foot boop and moves on, that means she wants to say hi. But if she gives you a foot boop and stays, that means she's hungry.
I'm very much the same way. If I give you a foot boop and I stay, it probably means I'm hungry too.
Yeah. So she's really. We also have another ferret named Trixie who might appear a little bit later. She's a little bit younger and she's very, very rambunctious.
Nice.
Yeah, she's a sweetheart. Okay, so we're talking about weird stories. I have a tool also, not a game, but a tool called check-in cards that are released earlier this year.
Okay.
It's a way that you can sort of check in with everybody before you start a game. And it just kind of lets people say, this is how I'm feeling, and this is how I want to play the game. Not even the kind of game you want to play, because you can play a game relaxed or you can play a game intensely.
Yep.
And whether you have a lot of energy or not kind of affects what you want to do and how you're going to be. So it's a way to be like, look, I'm really kind of exhausted, so please be patient with me. It's just a nice way to say that by playing a card.
That's awesome.
It would have really saved me a lot of heartache with a lot of really bad games I played.
I'm sure I could imagine, because I just know the type of gamer I am, and I'm intense at all times, although not necessarily strategically, but I'm just a real intense dude.
Yeah.
And if people were to say to me like, Bruce, this is not the time, I'd probably treat them a little differently
Yeah.
and make things easier on them, but I can't figure it out until I've already upset them. And I can tell, like I can see it on their face.
Yep.
They're done with this. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know that's how you were when we started. So that's a fantastic tool. Where can people find that?
That's on my website again, formalferretgames.com. Look for check-in cards. The art was done by Rachel Kramer, who does the art for Semi-Co-op, the webcomic.
Yep.
She's phenomenal. So the art is absolutely adorable. Very
cool. I'm going to check in with some of the comments that are coming through. One person noting on the Conan, to see your ratings, drive them before you and hear the laughter of the women. I think that was this is clearly just happy ferret noises.
Yeah, that's when Trilly made her appearance.
Yeah. More happy ferret noise. And so it continues.
Yeah. She gets that reaction a lot.
I understand, because she's adorable.
She is very adorable, yeah.
So we talked about the rival networks. And then what is the role-playing game again?
Weird Stories.
Okay.
I don't have that on my website yet because I'm waiting for cover art. And once I have cover art, then I'm going to make like a big announcement and be like, hey, this is how it looks.
Okay, where should they find that announcement? Is there somewhere you want them to follow you? Is there a list you would like them to sign up for?
Yep,
let us know.
Formalferretgames.com. There is a place where you can sign up for my mailing list. And if you sign up for my mailing list, that's where you'll find out about all the good news that's coming out of what I'm working on. That sounded religious. I didn't mean it to come out that way.
Yeah. It's self-promotion. It all kind of sounds that way.
Yeah. And then lastly, as always, I am co-host of the Ludology podcast with Emma Larkins and Scott Rogers. Jeff Engelstein, of course, is never too far from it. He still does the game tech segments on the show. And we've been doing some really interesting episodes, and Sunday's episode is going to be a lot of fun. I need to actually edit that tomorrow. So yeah, that is all the news in my corner of the world.
Very cool. So can we get a quick preview, like for Sunday? What's the thing that makes this one especially amazing? What is the topic du jour?
Complex and intricate games is what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about it with a person who makes complex and intricate games, and interesting games also.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, I'm going to remind everybody in just a moment, we're going to start off the game show part of this, the part where you can win. And we've covered you can win this medium-sized t-shirt that does not fit me, but very well may fit you, and it has Conan. This was from when Conan did Comic-Con. It is one of the Conan Comic-Con shirts. If you want to jump in, go on any web-based device, go to crowd.live, enter the code 633PJ. 633PJ is how you get into the game. That will start up in just a moment, but if you want in, now is the time. I can tell you right now, signed up, we have 4 players. So your odds mathematically are fantastic at this moment, but we often get a lot as soon as we start. People seem to jump in the game, but I would say don't make it hard on yourself.
Oh yeah, don't miss that critical first question.
Make it easy. It's 100 points a question, and you want them just as soon as you can get them.
And speed is a factor. Indeed,
always. We're going to jump out. One thing I noticed when we were talking before the show is you were playing with a cricket ball.
Oh yes,
So, like, talk to people, because I don't know how many people know. Like, I know some people do, and I know if they listen at all, they'll realize that you're a sport person. You're a sport guy.
I am a sports guy, but not in the way that a lot of people are. I was telling you before the show that I have both a cricket ball and a baseball on my desk because I was curious about the differences between the two. And now they're just fun things to fiddle with, you know. I'm awful at playing it. Like, I try a fastball grip, but I'm actually I can't throw to save my life. So I'd be awful at cricket also. But I'm very fascinated by the histories of the sport. I don't really root for any teams. I just root for the ball anytime there's a game on. I just watch it. But you know, I got into cricket maybe 2 years ago, real seriously, because I was missing baseball, and I realized that ESPN Plus was carrying New Zealand's cricket matches, and I'm like, well, this might be good. I've always been kind of curious about the sport. I got further and further into it, and it's like, imagine baseball plus, like with all these extra things on top and all this extra interesting stuff. So I really, really enjoy all this, the extra things that cricket brings to the table.
Plus, what I've always found, at least, so I watch T20, which is like short cricket.
3 hours.
with T20, if you watch that, it always reminds me as an American of baseball. If everything is either a strikeout, a home run, or a line drive, like there isn't a lot of a full count and we hope something happens, or random dingers that are fouls. Like every time the ball's hit, it's usually some kind of an event when it happens, enough that it just feels to me like a speedier, more intense baseball. Now the scores are in the hundreds, so that does change things. It's not going to be one of these games where 21-22 is like an amazingly high scoring game. The games are in the hundreds, which is what I think I like about it.
But I like that the scores are that high, but there's another axis on which you're scored, which is how the defensive team can try to get you out. And if they can play well, then they increase their score in a way. It's really kind of a strange way it's put together, but it works really, really well.
And it's just super cool to watch and to kind of see like the crazy catches and dives, and it really is. I've just found it to be a really exciting sport, although I'm learning more about it as I go along. I wouldn't say I have a great handle of it, but I can watch it and be amused and enthused. A couple notes. Christopher saying, go sports.
Go sports.
Always go sports. John clearly didn't begin. He wasn't here at the beginning. If you would have been here at the beginning, you would have known Network Rivals is coming.
It's coming. Yep.
It's coming. It'll be here.
Thank you for supporting it, John. Thank you.
And baseball highlights. Yes, Brett, I would say very much cricket reminds me of baseball highlights. The other great thing is that the production for cricket, at least if you watch something like Willow, is they're like, oh, you probably are busy and don't have time for a full game of cricket. We're going to intentionally boil every game down to like 9.5 minutes if you just want to watch the best of the best, which I also think is fantastic. But I would guess that comes from it being a 3-day sport, and they can't do that.
5 day. If you watch the test matches, it is 5 days. But it's a really I love having it on in the background and just having a burble as I watch, and then every once in a while, like a big dramatic event happens. It's amazing how a 5-day match can turn on one ball. Like one ball changes everything, and that's really what part of the appeal is.
I've also really loved, there's one rule in cricket that I really enjoy, which is the ability to like give away your innings if you want to.
Oh, declaring, yes.
Yeah, if you're far enough ahead, you're allowed to say, no, you keep going. We'll let you keep going. If it's ever a problem, we'll take an inning back. But you know what? We're far enough ahead that you just keep going for a while, and if it becomes important, we'll let you know.
They don't get it back. They don't get the innings back. Their innings are over.
Oh.
The reason they do that is in a 5-day match, if all 5 days are done and they have not finished the game, the result is a draw, regardless of the score.
Okay.
So you want to declare at some point when you're like, okay, anything more that we do is going to just risk our it being a draw. Like if you just pound your opponent into the ground and spend all 5 days in one innings, you're never going to get a turn at bat, and it's going to be a draw. You have to at some point say, nope, this is enough. We're going to let you bat. We're going to try to get you out, and that's that.
There you go. And that is the thing with me not quite understanding the differences in T20, which is a batsman's game, and trying to understand 5-day test matches. So there you go.
Yep.
We're going to jump over. We're going to show. I didn't mean to do that. I didn't mean to take you off the screen. We're going to jump over. We're going to show you. We're going to start in just a moment.
Yes.
The actual interview and your opportunity to win this lovely Conan O'Brien shirt. If you want in, and the answer is, of course I want in, yes, Bruce. That's why I'm here. Go to crowd.live, enter the code 633PJ. That's how you get in the game, 633PJ. Since we are about to begin, this is the part where I'll warn each and every one of you, wherever you're watching, there's going to be lag. It's sometimes going to be real awful. That means you should stare at your phone now. The phone is the ultimate arbiter and scorekeeper. Don't worry about what Gil and I are talking about. We're going to talk about everything. But if you want to get in as fast as possible, watch the screen of your phone, because that's where the questions are going to come. The phone always has the right time. Gil and I might be anywhere between 5 and 45 seconds behind, depending on how exactly you're watching us and how collectively both of our internets are running. So once again, stare at the screen. We are about to begin. Let's get this party started, Gil.
Let's do it. Let's time travel.
10, 8, because there's no 9. The thing doesn't have a 9. It never does. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Your opening question of the game, East Coast or West Coast? East Coast or West Coast? Your clock has started. The support your local game shows up there to remind you, if you're a publisher, you know a publisher, and you'd like to sponsor the show, that is where your logo would be. But since I provided today's shirt, that's where my reminder that your logo could be there is. I also remind you to see it moving across the bottom of the screen. Remember, please just tell everyone on Earth you've ever met about this show. That's how we get eyes. And if you really like what I'm doing, you can go to coffee.com, buy me a coffee. I love coffee. So let's take a look. Let's see how everyone has guessed here. It's literally 50-50, Gil. They don't know. They have no idea. So East Coast or West Coast, let us know the answer and why.
Well, keep in mind, folks, you're trying to guess what I guess, not what you want. It's what I want. And I have lived on the East Coast my whole life, so this was not a hard decision. So that was East Coast is where my heart is.
I thought, so every single episode, I try to start with one or two questions that I feel like are 3-foot putts. Mm-hmm. You're always going to get them. They're going to be pretty easy. We know that your phone works. Mm-hmm. And no, this one was a 50-50. I did not necessarily intend that. Let's take a look at the rankings. Anakin OU tied with Malika. It's a two-way tie at the top, 96 apiece. T-Bone, because I've always had a problem trying to pronounce Thoswell, with 88. Chris! It's the exclamation point. Yeah. And fourth with 13. And then the other half of the, don't worry, there's 9 more questions. You have nothing but time to come back. So let's jump into question number 2. Here we go. Book or movie? Book or movie? The clock starts now. I'm waiting to see whether you're going to break hearts on this one or not. I'm not sure.
I'm going to break hearts on a lot of these. I'm a weird guy.
Yeah, we'll see just how weird. I don't know how people are going to react to this. All right, let's take a look. 100%. 10 people in the game. They have all said the book. Gil, what's the answer and why?
The answer is a book, because I'm actually extremely squeamish, and I don't watch a lot of movies because of it, but for some reason, books are no problem. So, book it is.
So then let me ask you, Gil, because for some genres of movie, I completely understand that. But, like, does this also apply to cartoons? Does this also apply, like, and this is not me being facetious. I'm genuinely curious. Like, does it affect comedies? Is it just kind of like motion's a problem?
It does not affect cartoons, but the more tense the movie is, the more certain I am that the character is about to tear their face off.
Okay, fair enough. So it's just kind of a general unease.
Yes.
At all. Okay. Huh.
And I used to work in film.
I was about to say, I thought you had, and that was actually why I put this in the game. Mm-hmm. I always provide, we talk about this every week, 20 questions to each of our guests. You pick the 10 you'd like to talk about. This week, you actually had answered all 20 and then went back and thinned them out for me.
Yep.
So I had thought that you at some point had worked in movies, because I knew it was either movies or audiobooks or both, and I couldn't remember what it was. Both. Okay, so that was why I put this in there. Huh.
Yep.
I think I would have gotten this wrong, but let's see how this affects the scores. Anakin with a $1.95, 5 points ahead of Malika. Anakin very close to taking home another prize. Malika just 5 points back. Thoswell with 167. Crass with 110. And then you see the rest of the board. Bree in the game with 20 points. So I hope at the beginning when you said that's a good thing, I hope you were talking about Gil and I talking to each other.
Yeah.
Malika noting, it hurt my soul, but I got the answer correct. I'm going to guess, because Malika believes on the West Coast, so that might have been the first question.
That was the West Coast answer. I'm so sorry, Malika. It's just where my heart is.
It happens. We're going to move on to question number 3. Here we go. Hotel or camping? Hotel or camping?
Hotel or camping?
Hotel or camping? This one I feel like I would have gotten, because there are some of these when I look through them, and I, of course, get to see them ahead of time because I'm entering them in, and I'm like, oh, this would have been a Widowmaker for me. I don't think this one would have been. Mm-hmm. But who knows? Let's take a look and see how everybody answered.
Yeah, let's see what everybody. Wow, all but
90,
one people say hotel. Very interesting. Very interesting.
So, Gil, what is it and why?
Oh, it's definitely a hotel for me. I have no interest in camping. Outside, I hear that bugs live outside, so I prefer the hotel. My joke used to be is that my idea of roughing it is a 2-star hotel. Yeah, same here.
Yep. Let's take a look and see how that affects the scores. Anakin still leading 286, 1 point over Malika at 285. Wow. It is a real duel at the top. Crass has 210. Chris, I'm not going to say your name anymore unless you're in the top 3, because I'm going to hurt my voice. But if you're in the top 3, you get it every time. There's one note. Gil seems like a glamper.
I don't even think I would glamp. I would just check in a hotel. I mean, I wouldn't even pretend. There would be no like special tent with a generator or anything like that. I'd just say, see ya. I'm just going to go to the Holiday Inn down the street.
So let me set up a scenario for you, because you and I are very similar in this way. If you're heavily pressured, are you willing to glamp if it makes everybody happy, or are you still like, I could not care any less?
Leaning more towards the number 2. Obviously, it depends on the circumstance.
Yeah.
But I mean, all things being equal, it'd be like, you folks have a great weekend. I'll see you all when I get back.
I've literally done that before. People are like, no, Bruce, it's in a cabin. And I'm like, no. Y'all tell me how it went. I hope you get some fish or whatever it is you do out there. I'm going to stay here and play Switch. And I'll tell you how Mario's doing.
Mm-hmm.
As a note, John would like to point out, hey, Malika, I think I hear your doorbell. You better go check on that.
Especially because that doorbell must be mighty loud.
And I could only begin to imagine, because I think I know where they're both located.
Yeah.
Let's move on to question 4. Here we go.
Right.
Airport run or help with moving? These are the 2 that people say are just the worst. This is what tests a friendship. I don't know that I agree. Do you, Gil?
I don't, for reasons you will see shortly.
Because I have to say, not that either of these are the best on earth, but I've had people make requests from me that were so much worse than an airport run or help with moving.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe that's just how I'm living, though. 100% of people say an airport run. Gil, talk to us about the answer and why.
Yeah, so, I am a total weakling, so help with moving? No, I'm going to give you the number of a moving company. But an airport run, I live 15 minutes from Newark Liberty, which is a major international airport. I have no problem dropping people off, picking people up. I actually love doing that. So airport run, that's great. Fine with me.
I completely understand. I'm about 20 minutes from BWI, and I feel the same way. It's like a fun little driving adventure.
Yeah. It's a little stressful when you get to like the side and there's cars going everywhere. But when you're picking up a friend and like they've just come off this exhausting journey and they see a friendly face, I think that's a really great moment.
Agreed. Oh, let's say, look, I think Gil would call cab for someone. Look, I clearly not. He would, whereas call a moving company.
I would call a moving company, but not a cab.
Let's see how this affects the scores. This is all about speed now. Malika leading 373. Oh, and just 63 or 4 points out of the game is Chris. I'm Chris. Nothing against you personally. I hope you drop out of 3rd place so I can stop yelling.
I can take over at some point if you want.
Oh, gladly. I've never had a guest that was willing to, so I will gladly let you have it.
All right.
As note in the 200s, Steph, Johnny Appleseed, T-Bone, and Josh Wood, and then Brett Spiel and Bree.
All right.
Our final 3 positions in the hundreds. I will remind you, stare at your phone screen. The faster you answer, the more points it's worth. Speed is super important in this game, which makes it even weirder that 1st and 2nd are removed by a single point.
Yeah.
Here we go. Going on to question 5. Pizza or Chinese food? Pizza or Chinese food? We do this one every so often. Because I just think it's a fun one.
Mm-hmm.
Of the food questions, of which I think you got a couple, I also, later you'll get more game show questions than I realized I put in the game.
Mm-hmm.
But pizza or Chinese food? Let's see what everybody thinks. I'm really
curious to see what people say. 80% say Chinese food. That's fascinating.
Yeah. So talk to me. What is it and why?
It's pizza. So I'll tell you a story. I still am a very extremely picky eater.
Okay.
My parents at some point were so tired of it that they decided to apply reverse psychology. And they said, okay, Gil, we're going to feed you nothing but pizza every night for for dinner until you're sick of it. 3 months later, when I went to the doctor for my checkup and he saw that my cholesterol level was through the roof and he found out that I'd been eating nothing but pizza for dinner every night. But I can literally eat pizza every night and not get sick of it. I don't because of the health, the health implications, but it's a really nice treat. Chinese food is great. I have nothing against Chinese food, but since I'm a picky eater, all I really get is like pork lo mein, which is good. It's not bad. But that versus a pizza, I just, again, closer to my heart.
Fair. One note. As this is speaking, do we get the lightning round sound effects?
Oh, you need Emma for the good lightning round sound effects. My lightning round sound effects are rubbish. You don't want me to. I want to see the scores. I want to see how this round shook things up.
Here's what it looks like.
All right. So Anakin is out of first place and second place. You're still in the show. So first place is Malika. Second place is Chris. Third place is Anakin. Then underneath that we have Steph, Johnny Appleseed, T-Bone, D-Bone, Josh Woot, Brett Spiel, and Bree.
And that's your top 10. And by your top 10, I mean there's 10 people playing, and that's how you're ranked. Let's take a look at question number 6. Here we go. Cake or cookies? This is our second food question. I believe we only had 2 food questions in this game.
Yeah.
I often find, because I write these with no rhyme or reason, I just look through stacks of questions and decide ones I think are fun. And then later, once a guest picks them, I suddenly realize how many of the same topic I put in. Because when I'm doing it, I'm like, oh, cake or cookies, that'll be fun. And then I'm like, oh, there were 4 food questions.
And I'm the picky eater. You're giving the picky eater all the food questions. It's great.
I didn't even think about that. And I want to say, Gil, that might have been a thing I knew about you just because of unpubs.
Mm-hmm.
So often, like, if you were going to go somewhere, people would be like, okay, well, let's figure out what Gil will eat. And because it's usually you and like 5 people my size. So like, we're not the problem. We'll eat wherever.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that may have been a thing that I knew before.
Possibly.
Let's take a look. Let's see how everybody answered. It's a
right down the middle.
Right down the middle, Gil. What's the answer and why?
Well, this is hard for me also because I like both, but I would go towards cookies. Cake is a rare treat. Cookies, I mean, there's nothing like a great chocolate chip cookie. Not oatmeal raisin. I will always take cake over oatmeal raisin cookies. Oatmeal raisin is the enemy.
Especially if you think they're chocolate chip.
It's horrible. It's just, it's so deceptive.
It's such a terrible lie. Let's take a look at the board.
All right, so we've got Malika very solidly in first place by 59 points. In second place is Chris. Steph takes third place so far, holding on to third place by 4 points. Anakin is out of the placing, but you can get right back in it with the next question. Yep, plenty of game left. T-Bone right behind him, and then Josh Woot, Brett Spiel, Johnny Appleseed, D-Bone, and Bree rounding out the rest.
There you go. But still, 4 questions left, 400 points available to you. I'm going to take a couple of comments that have come in. One note, parenting for the win on all the pizza.
Mm-hmm.
Or you could say, pizza my heart.
Very good, very good.
Oh, Bree. A note of heresy. I'm going to guess probably on the Chinese food, but I'm not sure anymore unless it was cake and cookies. One call for just people that love cookies.
Chris
why
Funk
not?
organizes the cookie run at Gen Con. There's like a Gen Con cookie fest where everybody brings homemade cookies. It's
that's
great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
This is how I know I'm not the cool kids, because this is literally the first I've ever heard of this.
It's fantastic.
Oatmeal cookies feel like a healthy cookie choice. They do, but like in the worst way.
It's just they're so deceptive. You see chocolate chip cookies next to oatmeal raisin cookies, and you have to look really closely and exercise caution.
And you have to like get your mouth ready, because if you're looking for one and you get the other, it's never enjoyable.
Not pretty, yeah.
If I'm going to follow the top 3, I can't think of anyone better than Steph to take my place.
Yay.
And finally, nope, oatmeal rising. No.
Oatmeal raising. All right.
And a note of texture.
Oh, texture,
Yeah, no, it's not cool. Moving on to question number 7. Here we go.
All right.
Wheel of Fortune or Jeopardy? We already talked about it. There are more game show questions than I had anticipated than I noticed I had put in here. Okay, so there's one note. I'm actually going to put this up on the screen in just a second. Bree has put this up here. I'm confused about how scoring works. 2 people rank ahead of me, but I've only gotten 3 out of 10. They got 3 out of 10. I got 4 out of 10. So it works like this, Bree. It is about how fast you answer the question. So it is accuracy. You must be correct. But if you can get it in the first split second, it's worth a full 100 points. The longer you take to answer, the clock is going to tick down. This is why I tell you at the beginning of the game, stare at your phone. Don't worry about what Gil and I are saying, because there's going to be a terrible lag between when we say it and when you hear it. Always stare at your phone and be ready. As soon as the question comes up, answer as quick as possible, because the more points you get, the faster you answer and correct. You never lose points in this game, but the only way to get them is to answer quickly and correctly.
Yes.
And pretty much John said that in just a lot less words. So let's take a look at how everybody answered. 2/3, 1/3, Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy. I am going to note that you are a person that has made a word game.
Yes, I am.
The pretty successful one you would find at many national retailers.
Yeah, that is Wordsy. I'm very proud of that, and you can play that on your phone nowadays. It's in the Google Play Store, and our iOS version is in beta, so you can just get a hold of me if you want to be part of the iOS testing program, and I will route you to the developer who will get it on your phone. It is a really good app.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And we've also covered it here on Board Game the Game Show.
Oh, yes, that's right. Yeah.
And made a game show version of it, which I was super excited. As a matter of fact, Wordsy was one of the games that made me want to try to do game show versions of games.
I love that. Thank you.
I looked at it and said, like, oh, if I just take out all the stuff Gil put in here to be reasonable at a table of people, and I just strip it out, there's a game show here. I just need to figure out how to take the sand timer away and make it just me yelling at someone.
Yeah.
And I don't think it was a bad version. I was pretty proud of that, to be real honest.
No, I saw it. It was really good.
Thank you.
All right, so
let's take a look.
Wheel of Fortune or Jeopardy.
Yep.
2/3 of people said Jeopardy. Shall I say what my answer is?
Let's do it.
It's Jeopardy, of course. I mean, at this point, you know who I am. You know that I'm a more cerebral kind of person. Wheel of Fortune is more about spinning, the fun of spinning the wheel and seeing what you get. And even if you know the answer, you want to wait and hold off and see how far you can go. Whereas Jeopardy is about getting the answer as fast as you can, just rapid fire, rapid fire, rapid fire. I know no one personally who's been on Wheel of Fortune, and I know a bunch of people who've been on Jeopardy. So it's just in my circles, it's just a Jeopardy run.
I want to say I've known a few Jeopardys. I've known a couple of millionaires. I've known somebody that was on Match Game, which we're going to talk about in just a moment.
Oh, yes.
I've known somebody that went on Wheel of Fortune. Because it just depends. It's the circles, and I'm just a big game show nerd.
Yep.
So left to your own devices, Gil, because I gave you a 50-50. Would Jeopardy be your game show of choice, or is there another game show that you like more?
I mean, I don't watch that many game shows. I enjoy game shows, but if Jeopardy would not be a bad one for me to choose. That would be up there. So
look at this board.
Wow! Anakin right back in it, tied with Steph, deadlocked at 472. Malika right behind, 3 points off the pace, and then T-Bone and the person whose voice I'm going to save and not say. And then Josh, Brett, Johnny, D-Bone, and Bree rounding out the rest.
So there we go. Bree all of a sudden noting, well, dang, that would change how things go. And Malika, sorry she didn't know better on Jeopardy, and that's why 2 players have passed you.
That's okay. You're right in it. You're in the middle of it.
Yeah. This is still a fight. There's still a full 3 questions left. 300 points available mathematically right now. It is anyone's game, although you would need some real absurd things to happen for Bree to jump up to first. But it's not impossible, and that's why we still play. Here we go. Question number 8. We mentioned it a second ago. Match game with Gene Rayburn or match game with Alec Baldwin? Because they are both real things. If you're thinking to yourself, hey, Bruce, who's Gene Rayburn? He hosted all of Match Game until recently when Alec Baldwin took it. So if that doesn't help you and you don't know what I'm talking about, I can't ever get you back. I can merely note I think Match Game might be, as far as American quiz show or American game shows go, might be the best chat game show that America had, period.
I wouldn't doubt that. I mean, it's a great show. It's so entertaining.
Let's take a look.
Incredibly entertaining. A lot of people going for Gene.
Yeah, a lot of people going for Gene. I can't tell if they're a lot of Gene Rayburn fans or if they just don't like Alec Baldwin.
Or if they think I'm going to go for Gene because they see the gray in my beard.
It may be. So what is your answer?
My answer is Gene, of course, because it's not just Gene. Because if Gene is there, that means Charles Nelson Riley is there. You know you're going to have a good time with that pair. There are so many just really quick-witted people on that old show. I've never actually seen the Match Game with Alec Baldwin. I'm sure he's awesome on it, though. It seems right up his alley. But those classic episodes with Gene Rayburn, and sometimes you get a little bit of an Easter egg. One time I turned it on, and one of the contestants, not the guests, but the contestants, was Kirstie Alley.
Wow. Oh,
yes.
Yeah. I do occasionally hear when they do that, like, Where Were They When, where you find out that, like, Vanna White was once in Contestants Row, and Kirstie Alley once did the Match Game.
Yep.
I would say if you're saying, what are these two blathering about, take the time to look up Match Game, because it was such a solid like chat/game show. It featured a lot of Betty White, who was amazing, Charles Nelson Riley, who at that point had only really done like the theater proper. So this was a huge point that made him kind of a cult celebrity. It is where Richard Dawson, eventual host of Family Feud, got his start. How he got Family Feud was Match Game, because the games were not dissimilar. They pretty much stole what they had built with this and made Family Feud out of it.
Yeah, and it's side-splittingly funny. It was it is still, and it holds up. It's really good.
Let's take a look and see how this affects the scores.
Oh, Anakin's solidifying his lead. Malika's holding on to second place. Steph with a solid third place. Then we have Chris, and I downgraded that because you're out of the third place now. Brettspiel, Josh, T-Bone, Johnny Appleseed, D-Bone, and Bree rounding out the rest of the peloton. Brett Summers, Mike Cooper is a shout out for Brett Summers.
Yep. Brett Summers was also fantastic on that show. Mm-hmm. And her and Charles Nelson Riley had such an amazing relationship on that show that it was fantastic to watch.
Yep. I like what Mike also wrote about the Mandy Patinkin thing. I'm very flattered. Thank you.
Oh, I mean, there we go. Also, I don't think G. Rainbird hosted any other game shows. I don't think so.
I mean, I feel like I've seen him on something else, but I don't remember what. But I'm not going to look it up.
Yeah, I feel like once or twice I saw him kind of cross over onto something else for half an episode or something, but it doesn't really hit me. And then, Brett, I don't know why it hasn't given us a comment from you, but it simply hasn't. Question 9, 2 questions left in the game. Just 2 questions remaining for you to win this amazing Conan O'Brien t-shirt. It is size medium. Do with that what you will. Here we go. Submarine or Zeppelin? Submarine or Zeppelin? This is the part of the game where we go with the questions that I don't know how you would know the answer to. You're just solidly taking guesses at this point. Submarine or Zeppelin is what we're looking at here. So let's see how the crowd has answered. 56-44 with 9 people in the game. That is as close a split as we can possibly get. So Gil, what and why?
It's interesting because Submarine was like a whole meme on the early days of BGG, which I think is a lot of BGG old schoolers here are going that way. But I went with Zeppelin because I think Zeppelins are cool. Zeppelins
are cool. That's just a fact.
Yeah. And submarines are kind of terrifying, you know? Zeppelins, I mean, they're terrifying in their own way, especially if they're filled with hydrogen. But submarines, I mean, you're going to the least hospitable place on Earth, and all that is protecting you is a soda can. I don't want any part of this.
Yeah, I agree with you. Let's take a look. Let's see how it's affected the board.
Malika solidly in first place. Well, that's all. 11 points. No, 19 points. I can count. Steph right on her heels. Anakin is in third place with 572. Then comes T-Bone. Josh, who actually has answered 7 questions, but was probably a little bit slower, which is why Josh is in fifth. Then comes Chris, Brettspiel, Johnny, D-Bone, and Bree rounding out the rest of the peloton.
So here we go. We are headed into our final question of the game. I would say this is mathematically a 3-horse race, but no reason to stop now. You got a chance. Let's see what happens. Let's see how far you can get. John noting it's coming down to the wire.
Oh, yes, it is.
With this final question, here we go. A giant squid armed with a shrink ray or a woolly mammoth that can fly? That is what you have. Which of these do you think Gil picked? This is how we're deciding the game. Because, super fight questions are how we decide every game now because they're amazing. I actually might be starting a new format. Stay out there, stay tuned.
Yeah.
Where you as a group out there watching will pick answers to questions like this. And if you're in the popular group and you pick the right thing, you'll survive to the next round.
Oh, very cool.
We're going to see how that works. We might test it sometime next week. So let's take a look and see how everybody answered. Once again, solid split. 56-44 Giant Squid. Gil, what is it and why?
I picked the mammoth related to the submarine thing. I'm not going to be underwater, so I don't have to worry about giant squids. Flying woolly mammoths are much more of a concern to me than giant squids, I guess, relatively speaking, I suppose.
I suppose that is true. In just a second, we're going to show everybody who won the game. So right now, a way of everyone's attention, Gil, tell them where they can find you, the places to point them to. This would be the time to do it. Give me 1 second. Let me put us both on screen so that you can do that.
Awesome. So formalferretgames.com is my website. You can get info about all my games. Weird Stories is coming to that website soon in terms of what you can learn from it. You can still buy the remaining copies of High Rise I have for my first printing. You can sign up for my mailing list to know when the Kickstarter for the next version of High Rise with the expansions goes live. You can pre-order Rival Networks from there. You can get check-in cards from there. And if you go to my Twitter, that is at Gil Hova, you will also find out all the stuff that's happening in Formal Ferret Land, including whenever I go live with my Twitch stream, which is generally Thursday nights.
And you were kind enough this week to put it on Wednesday, and Gil, I can't thank you enough. Thank you so much for everything you do for board gaming and for taking the time to come out and do this tonight.
Thank you.
So let's take a look. Let's see what the final scores are. Are you doing it or am I, Gil?
You do it. You do it.
Here we go. Final scores at the end of the game. Our winner tonight with 743 points is Malika. Malika, you have won tonight's prize. Contact me at BG The Game Show on Twitter. You know how to find me, Malika. Steph coming in with 641. Not a bad showing, tripping up on the final question. T-Bone jumping into third. Good work. Anakin in the fight the whole time, finishing in fourth. Josh, 514. Fantastic work. Chris with 510. Brett Spiel with 470. D-Bone, which I just love that, 416. Johnny Appleseed with 352, and Bree with 233. Remember, Bree, the faster you answer, the more points it's worth. Malika won on the Wooly Mammoth.
Mm-hmm.
Mike is happy. Gil, thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
John noting, awesome game, fantastic hanging out with everybody. A big thank you to all the players. And once again, from me, a big thank you to everybody for coming out tonight. Let me get this off the screen so it doesn't half obstruct you. Some of you I've noticed, Chris and Brett, I think there's a permission that you have to give to StreamYard for us to see what your comments are. So just remember to do that if and when you come back next week. Gil, thank you. So I really appreciate you taking the time, because I know that you stream Thursdays, and when I asked you, I was afraid that was going to get in the way, and I thank you for switching that around for me. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's my pleasure. This is a blast. I really enjoyed it.
Well, very good. Remember, if you're out there, if you are a publisher, if you know a publisher, support your local game show. Let me know. I would love to give away your prizes, but tonight we are giving away the awesome Conan O'Brien shirts. We will be back next week. I will let you know a little secret, folks. I don't know who my guest for next week is. If you know someone you think I should have on the show, let me know, because that will help me convince them to do it. I'm at BG The Game Show. Thank you so much. As a quick note, tomorrow night's programming, normally I would come on at 8 o'clock with It's Quiz Time. I am booked this week, so It's Quiz Time will come back next week. I know it's been a 2-week hiatus, but if I get booked, I have to do it. Thank you so much. Have a fantastic week. Between now and the next time I see you, go play something. Have a great night, everybody.
Have a great night. Great hanging out with everyone.